Guys who married Bridezillas, what happened after the wedding? First wife was a Bridezilla. During the honeymoon she realized she was married, and the wedding day was history. She wanted the big wedding, which she had, not the marriage. The next 2 years were hell, until she finally tapped out. I was young and stupid and the thought of divorce never crossed my mind. I don't know why it didn't. I guess I just assumed I'd be miserable the rest of my life. When she told me she was leaving, it felt as if the weight of the world was off of my shoulders. On a happy note, her parents were still paying off the wedding when we divorced. That's what happens when you allow your daughter everything she wanted, including 2 wedding dresses. Not a Bridezilla, but a Millzilla. Wife wanted a regular sized wedding. Nothing fancy, at a historic venue she loved. We had planned for about 100 guests at most, and we would do a lot of the work. Mill started to pressure about having to invite tons of people, in-laws are loaded and social butterflies, change the venue, change the photographer, etc. I didn't give a shit, since it was all to make my wife happy, and did my best to adjust. Finally one day about 2 months before the wedding, my wife had a breakdown crying, because of all the changes and bullshit from Mill. Told wife I would handle Mill from now on. Called Mill and read her the riot act, and told her to cool her shit or we would just get a courtroom wedding, and forget about the religious wedding. Huge deal to the family. She fought me for weeks. Phil fought me. Bills fought me. Told them all to pound sand. We had our original wedding. I was folding invitations and favors the night before until 3 AM. But by duck we got it done. Of course. Mill still changed the DJ and photographers without me noticing. So we had completely wrong music. And we have yet to see the pictures, 16 years later, and we have minimal contact with the family. Got into a huge fight about broccoli on the honeymoon. All my fault, of course. I knew then it was a mistake. Toughed it out for 2 more years of abuse before I left. So glad I did. How was the broccoli your fault exactly? Because I hadn't previously disclosed that I liked it. We didn't even have any. I learned a lot about narcissism, mental illness and substance abuse during the next 2 years, and have avoided them since. Good life lesson. I didn't marry the Bridezilla, but I had coordinated her wedding. We had a death in the family, 6-month-old baby, a few days prior to the wedding. I called the bride and told her the situation, and said that my assistant would be stepping in for me so that I could attend the funeral. She told me to send my assistant to the funeral, and that I had better be at her wedding. I told her I would be sending her a refund, and that no one would be coming to her wedding. The groom ended up leaving her after this whole thing went down. Suffice to say he really dodged a bullet there. Fucking hell, some people are such shit humans. I'm sorry to hear about the baby. I was called the Bridezilla after getting back with my ex-boyfriend I broke up with from high school. His parents got into his head that he should propose. His parents got married at the age of 19, and they thought that since we're 19 we should follow in their footsteps. We were only back together for over 1 month at that point. Nothing against anyone that married young or married suddenly. He proposed. I was excited because this is supposed to be an important moment in my life and I can plan the beautiful wedding I always dreamed of. I immediately started to look at venues since we had 10 months to plan. His mom complained to everyone behind my back that I was planning too soon. His family are strict Catholics, so when I said I didn't want to have a but for our wedding, they made sure the priest talked to me to convince me to change my mind. When I planned to go wedding dress shopping, she complained again about how I was doing it too soon, 8 months out from the wedding, and then she brought some of her kids without asking me. On top of that, I invited a mutual friend of ours, and I got a text from that friend on my way to the bridal shop asking if she could bring her kids, because my fiance's mom told her to. His mom also got mad at me for not including all 7 of her daughters in the wedding party. Whenever I tried to plan wedding stuff with my fiance, he couldn't handle it because planning the proposal took too much energy out of him. That lasted a few months. Whenever his family tried controlling the wedding, I got bothered because they were planning around themselves. They said that this isn't about me and my fiance. It's about their family. Because their family is a big deal and this wedding was about them. Overall, They called me Bridezilla to my face multiple times because I didn't like how they were controlling my wedding. Within those few months I remembered why I broke up with my fiancé the first time. So I broke up with him again. F that. Good for you. You are better for it. Lady people are always pressured to be nice. And then we end up steamrolled and questioning ourselves. GTFO early and kick these people that know best out. My coworker married a crazy Bridezilla. I'll try to just hit the bullet points of what happened leading up to, during, and after the wedding. But it's still a lot. 1. The moment he proposed she lost her sex drive. According to him, she also basically stopped acting like the woman he fell in love with and started acting like her real self, which was batshit crazy. 2. A week after he proposed she quit her job because her full-time job was now planning the wedding. The wedding was horrible. I'm getting there. 3. She had a fight with his mother because the bride demanded the groom's mom pay for half the wedding but get zero input and wasn't allowed to contribute to the guest list, which was 95% the bride's friends and family. 4. Brit, who was 30 years old, subsequently egged her future Mill's house. 5. When bride and groom had a spat about the egging, he went to the work the next day and she shaved her head and sent him video of her screaming and sobbing as she buzzed her hair off in the bathroom. I worked with him. He showed me the video when he said he had to leave, and I strongly urged him to have her assessed by a psychiatrist. He made a dumb joke about sexy with a crazy girl is the best kind and I pitied him. 6. Wedding was in a pool clubhouse in summer. It was much too small for the 150 plus people they invited. Someone forgot to turn the act on until after the place was packed. A lifeguard showed up in a swimsuit to turn it on, but it did little given it was already sweltering. 7. 2 rows of chairs in the clubhouse were ribboned off with reserved signs on them, so no one sat in them. They were later occupied by the 6-seated bridesmaids, leaving about a dozen chairs open once the wedding started. The one groomsman stood by the groom and didn't sit. Elderly people were left standing or reduced to sitting on the floor as there was no way to get to the chairs once the ceremony started. 8. Bride showed up 90 minutes late, having been unhappy with her hair, wig, and makeup, so she took it all off and did it herself. So all the guests are standing for the 5 hours waiting for her. Groom was literally standing at the altar, sweating his butt off in a wool suit in the South's high summer, and was clearly not sure if she would show up. He looked like he felt sick. 9. When bride showed up she burst into the clubhouse, marched down the aisle, and snapped at the officiant to hurry up and get started. 10. During the prayer, while the religious groom had his head bowed she turned to wave at everyone. I don't pray, so I was looking up. Then she told her mother to go get her some water. She drank a bottle of water during the prayer and kept grinning and waving at people in attendance, paying zero mind to her groom in front of her. 11. When the ceremony was over tables were crammed into the clubhouse and apparently only family and immediate friends of the bride had seats at tables. The rest of us were going to be standing outside during the reception, so I didn't see a dance, a speech, the cake cut, nothing. 12. The food was served outside in the southern US July heat with bugs everywhere. The bride made the groom go get her food over and over. He meekly stood in line with the other 150 people until people insisted he go sit and let them get food. Nope. She told him to get food, so he said he had to be the one to get her food. 13. She never left her table, never greeted any of her guests. 14. Apparently they had a massive fight as they were leaving the following day for the honeymoon. Bride laying all the failures of the wedding she planned at him and his mom's feet. She threw his luggage out of the car and tried to drive to the airport by herself, but he had their tickets and jumped on the hood to stop her from driving off in his car. 15. He got fired about a month after the wedding because he kept showing up late, leaving early, and leaving in the middle of day, usually because she called him with some crisis. 16. 1 year after the wedding I got a thank you note for my wedding gift, which was signed by just the bride with a note that said, "As you may have heard, Ryan and I have had bumpy start in our first year as a married couple, and we are separated now. Thanks for the lovely gift." The divorced a couple months later. Somehow I'm more angry at other people for enabling her behavior than I'm at her for being a human pile of shit. telling young men that women be crazy, or worse, crazy women are the best, because sex her leads way too many men to enter into and remain in abusive relationships with psychopaths. Most modern women tend to get warnings about controlling and abusive behavior from men. What do men get? Nothing but a wink/nudge, and if you're getting sex sometimes, then all behavior is to be excused when staring down the barrel of some seriously disturbing behavior. Our society needs to change on this front. I was practically in tears trying to explain to my male coworker that his girlfriend is showing signs of being an abuser, and please use our company's free 10-session therapy offering to see someone in private about this to get a professional's opinion. The fact that his cat, normally friendly to strangers, runs and hides and behaves strangely when his girlfriend is around, and she has made Italian mobster-esque threats like "I accidentally kicked your cat the other day. You should probably buy me that purse I want. It would be a shame if something worse happened, wouldn't it?" I begged him to imagine me saying these things about a boyfriend of mine, but he just couldn't see it. It had been drilled into his head that any female attention is good attention, especially since he's kind of a shy, nerdy guy, and women be crazy, and so this was just something he had to put up with. He's moved away, but I still check his Facebook and pray that I don't see her mentioned. I have performed a few ceremonies that came about because things fell through for whatever reason, only one of which I had to walk away from. I had received a call from my sil that one of her friends was supposed to get married, and the priest had passed away the week before. They didn't want to change the date and move anything, so they had asked if she knew anyone who could help out. I said sure. When is the wedding? It was supposed to be in an hour. Okay. I was on my way home from work, where I had finished up an important meeting. I miss meeting in person, and was reasonably well dressed. So I called home to say I was going to be late. When I arrived, the happy couple had looked at me and asked if I had proper priest's vestments. No, I don't. And if I did, I would probably not be carrying them in my car. The bride had asked if I was able to go buy some and come back. I told her that I wouldn't begin to know where to buy something like that. The groom then told me that if I can't even try, then maybe I should leave. I did. My sil told me they cornered a priest at the church and told him he had to marry them or they would sue the church for a breach of contract, and that it was the moral thing to do. They divorced 9 months later when her surprise baby was a different ethnicity than he was. Didn't help that he had a side piece as well. I especially love the moral pressure angle whilst threatening to sue a church shortly after their priest's untimely death. I get the feeling that the church could have denied them and won the case if the crazy did go through with a lawsuit. What a terrible duo. My buddy married a Bridezilla. She was a Bridezilla long before the wedding, and they had dated for about 7 years. I have no idea how they are doing. I just kind of stopped talking to him a few years after she claimed I ruined his birthday by remaining sober. I had driven 5 hours to be at his birthday. I really don't understand why people get offended if you don't want to get as drunk as they would like. The duck, do you care if I'm drunk or not? My biggest pet peeve is when people buy me shots at a bar. I love to drink, but I hate taking shots. I usually refuse if I can. Then they'll berate me for just chasing with the shot and taking a chug of my beer instead. Like, how on earth does this affect them whatsoever? A bit of a change up, not a Bridezilla, but a groomzilla. A friend of my father was remarrying. It was both his and the bride's second time around, both in their early 40s, and an arranged marriage. Think Indian Orthodox Muslim stuff. The guy was an utter groomzilla. He demanded that every event be at top-notch hotels with obscenely expensive catering, and hired string quartets and whatnot for the entertainment, mostly paid out of the bride's family's pocket. I might add, the parties on the nights leading up to the main wedding event were opportunity enough for him to make a rather public butt of himself, talking at the top of his voice and showboating the entire time. But the kicker came the next day, when the bride was missing from her own wedding's reception. Obviously it was very odd and conspicuous, and a few relatives from her side made some non-committal excuses about her not feeling well, etc. Turns out This fucker had divorced the poor woman right after he'd had his wedding night fun. He said that he didn't like her enough, and that's an almost literal quote. So he gave her the triple divorce thing. And that was it. The marriage was officially over before the festivities even ended. That poor woman. I hope your father kicked his friend to the curb after he pulled that stunt. Ha. No. The Brotherhood of Entitled Indian Males stepped up to agree that she must have been exceptionally unattractive under all the clothes. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe for more videos.